So welcome everyone, thanks so much for joining us. This week I'm joined by Jamie Unwin, who is a natural history camera operator, National Geographic explorer and also an award-winning wildlife photographer. He graduated in zoology from the University of Exeter's Penryn campus back in 2017 and has gone on to film shows for BBC, Channel 4, National Geographic and loads of others. Most recently, Jamie's camera work has been seen on Channel 4's Secret Safari, filmed in Kenya's Old Petra Conservancy. So welcome Jamie, thanks so much for joining me.
No worries, thanks for having me.
If I could just start with a quite early question, I guess. When did you first develop a love of the wild and wildlife?
I think it was when I was growing up. So my family, we live on a small farm just outside Oxford, and I think it was being around animals the whole time, but also where the farm is, it's literally surrounded by sort of countryside. So I would go out quite often with my camera to take photographs of the deer and hares and things like that. And I think that's what really inspired me. I had some amazing encounters trying to crawl on my stomach to get really, really close to the hare and raider and things like that. And it was just the most amazing thing. And then I think from there, the passion sort of just grew from a love of kind of creating photography and photos and making really beautiful images to then kind of going, oh, actually, I kind of care about these animals as well. So I kind of protect in any particular way. So I'd say from there.
No worries. So you were interested in filming and photography before you were interested in conservation, really, would you say? Or was it the other way around?
Yeah, well, I think they sort of kind of hand in hand. I think the love of photography and taking photographs of wildlife was what kind of then made me get super passionate about conservation as well. And I think, they both happened at such a sort of similar time. And then they sort of progressed with that, I suppose, and then led on to me going to the University of Exeter and so on.
Brilliant. Now, while you were at Exeter, as I understand it, you organised an expedition in Madagascar that you did completely by yourself. You organised everything. It wasn't part of a bigger programme. I mean, what inspired you to do that, and how do you make something like that happen when you're a student?
So it was myself and 5 others who we were in first year. I think what inspired all of us to do it was we had a lecture by someone called Dave Hoskin, and I think it was one of the first lectures I think we had of him, and he said, right, everyone that's here, write down on a bit of paper why you're doing a zoology degree or whether it was conservation biology, because we're all sort of mixed up. And pretty much everyone wrote down on that bit of paper, oh, we want to make a difference, try and protect wildlife. And I think he sort of then read those out in the class and said, like, if you guys want to do this, then just go out and do it. You have everything you could possibly want at Exeter, and I'm here to kind of support you. And then I think from there, it was me and 5 others, we then just got super inspired by Dave, and then he was really, really supportive. And then the idea of the Madagascar expedition came up, and again, he kind of just gave us so much support and advice. And it was really down to kind of the rest of the team, because it was a huge learning curve for me, kind of figuring out different things, because I had my kind of photography skills, but I'd never applied for grants or anything. So it was really a matter of bouncing off the other team members and kind of what they brought to it from other places they'd come from. There was 2 Hannahs on our team, and they went to the Royal Geographical Society, and they were one of our main funders, and they managed to persuade them to fund us. It was quite nerve-wracking, and a huge learning curve, I think, kind of everyone. It was amazing. But once we'd sort of done that, I think it showed for me that you can sort of just organize anything that you sort of want to do, because it's like, no, you don't need to be part of a bigger organization or of a company that kind of run these expeditions. It showed that you can just sort of find somewhere that you're passionate about, find some contact, and then from there branch out a project that you feel really passionate about, and then it all sort of just snowballed from there, really. It was a really good experience.
Brilliant. I mean, what's Madagascar like? It looks like a completely different planet when you see it on the television. Is it like that?
I suppose so. Like where we went, we had a coastal sort of rainforest, and it was literally right on the beach. So our tents were, a few hundred meters away from the coast, and you could hear the crashing of the waves, and it was the most amazing place to spend sort of 6 weeks. The rainforests and the bits which are preserved are incredible. But Madagascar is such a sad story, because I think when we were writing on the report, something like 90% of the forest had already been cut down, and I think we definitely saw that when we were there. We would drive through just plains and plains of kind of grassland and things that had recently been deforested to our little chunk of forest. And then when you look it up on a satellite view, you can see literally this sort of sliver of forest down the edge of the coast, where it should be connected to the much larger forest that kind of more inland. So that was very eye-opening for me. Like, the people in the country is amazing, but in terms of environmental impact that's happened there, it was very, very eye-opening. I think the rest of the team.
And can I ask about one of your other things that you did when you were studying? Because you also filmed with one of our other alumni, Steve Bachel, while you were still at university. I mean, what's it like to be involved in something like that so early on in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really cool. So the way that happened is because I do a lot of kayaking, or did back then, sort of then. And it was through a friend there who then put me in touch with Steve, and he was doing the same race because he did a race called Prizes to Westminster. Okay. And he originally wanted a film just to kind of to raise some money for Land Trust. And then he was just doing it with a friend called George. And then so we made that film, and it was really great. It was really nice working with Steve, and he's like the most lovely person ever. So he was also, incredibly supportive. But after then that led on to the following year. One show which was on the BBC, so they saw that film, and then also Steve was still trying to raise money, so they were like, right, let's do it with the one show. And at that point, then he had a wife at that point, maybe fiance Helen, who then did the kayak race with him, and then that was amazing because that was my first sort of TV job, and then having a much larger crew and people way more experienced than me, but they kind of trusted me because Steve was going, "No, Jamie's already done this once. He knows the race. He knows how to film. It's fine. Just let him do it." So he kind of persuaded them to let them use me, which was really, really nice. And yeah, it did that. It was really good, and it was really nice to see that then come out on TV not too long. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, what are some of the favourite projects, some of your favourite projects that you've got to work on in the last few years, would you say?
I would say my favourite thing that I've filmed has got to be for a show called Tiny World, which is on Apple TV, which is like a new kind of streaming platform. And they asked me to film leopard slugs mating. And when the producer was describing it to me, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because it sort of described this love scene of the two slugs that would kind of come from an apple branch. And then they would intertwine and then kind of fall down from the tree on a trail of slime. And then their bright purple penises would then come out the back of their heads and then intertwine, and then they would exchange sperm and all of that stuff. And like when he was describing this, I was like, oh my gosh. And they'd only filmed it once before in an Ashtonbury show called Life of the Undergrove. Okay. So this is the second time that, it'd ever been or tried to be filmed. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I just never really thought it was going to happen because we tried once. Well, they'd already tried once before me and it didn't work. And then we tried again, and again it didn't happen. And I was like, no, I'm convinced we can get it to work. So then a few weeks later, we then tried it again. And this is literally in my back garden. We kind of set up a studio thing. And then it all happened in front of us. And I think we had maybe 3 or 4 matings happen. Okay. So it was just incredible to see that. And you're there like, what the hell is this? So no, that was kind of, it's been like one of the best things. And creatively, like, because I'm such a kind of sort of visual person when filming, it was something that I had like a lot of creative to play with, and that was really, really fun. So yeah, something that wasn't very far from home, you would never think kind of just happens outside your back door. No. So I absolutely love that.
Brilliant. Now you're in Kenya at the moment, having just been filming. You spend a lot of time out there. But I mean, how has filming been the last year during the pandemic? How has that impacted things?
Yeah, so not so great. It's not the best career to be in when there's a global pandemic. So in March 2020, I was on the shoot for Secret Safari, and that was supposed to continue until June, but we all got called home short because of lockdown and everything going on in the UK. And at that point, obviously, no one really knew what coronavirus was and how serious it was going to be. So we all got called home, and then things sort of just fell off a cliff because they were wanting to send UK crew out. So then a lot productions were trying to find local crew, and it was really hard to find sort of little bits of work. And I did a few little bits with Spring Watch and Autumn Watch, Winter Watch, but it was, tiny bits of work compared to what I've been doing the year before. So that's been quite a shock, and it's been quite a struggle. I've been doing a lot of life admin, doing all those things you never get around to doing, which I'm sure everyone else has been doing. And then I've come back out to Kenya. Came in January to as a sort of a career move, because everyone's sort of using local crews still, although things are hopefully going to get a little better. Out here in a few little bits.
Cool. Well, hopefully we're looking at some progress now, so hopefully the rest of 2021, 2022, I'll keep my fingers crossed anyway.
Yes, definitely.
Getting a little better. Now I just want to ask one other question, slightly different. You mentioned Stand Up for Nature, which is this organisation you founded, and you show wildlife films in cinemas in Africa that are powered by bicycles. I mean, how did you come up with doing that idea, and how has it taken off?
Yeah, so that was an idea that came up during university, and it was sort of one of the things which led me on to kind of having the experience to become a cameraman. I had this amazing opportunity to go to Malawi and make a film about the illegal ivory trade.
Yeah.
The film was all kind of aimed for the local audience rather than kind of a foreign audience. And it was when I was there, I was like, I was actually going to see this film because it was going to go out on one of the local TV channels. The people that actually needed to see it were the ones that lived around the edge of the reserves and national parks. A lot of those communities were the poorest, and they didn't have TVs and things like that. So it's like, this film is never going to get to them. And that was when the idea of the sort of way to show films, but in a way where we didn't need a socket to plug in something, and it was like, how can we make electricity? So came up with the idea of the bicycle powered cinema, and it's basically with the power of one bicycle, so someone's pedaling it and it's on a stand, it creates enough electricity to be able to power projector and some speakers, so you can rock up literally anywhere and show a film, and it's the most incredible thing. So we did that in Malawi, and I did it with a friend from uni called Anna. And that was where sort of Stand Up for Nature kind of started. And then we did Malawi, and then graduated, and then we did Kenya. I did a really big project there. And then that was the last time I actually did something with Stand Up for Nature, but I'm now hoping to sort of rekindle it, because the idea has always been to slot in Stand Up for Nature projects in between my broadcast shoots. And I don't know, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, I'm not sure, but with coronavirus, it's given me loads of time to focus on Stand Up for Nature stuff. So it's kind of pulling away massively in the background. And it's what I've been really busy doing here, going around meeting loads and loads of people. Because I'm also hoping to show the Secret Safari series back to the communities around here. Just because usually, a lot of wildlife documentaries, they have kind of white, foreign people on them. Whereas this time, Secret Safari has the local Kenyans in it, which is amazing. So it'll be the perfect thing to be able to show to the communities around here that live around Old Exeter, and especially people will probably recognise each other, going, "Oh, that's Samuel, that's Nelson." It'll just be wonderful. So that's what sort of happened. That's how the idea came up, and it's still sort of ongoing.
Brilliant. And just one final question: what do you want people to take away from your films when they watch your programs?
So I suppose there's kind of two sides to it. You have the Stand Up for Nature films, which I'm far more sort of passionate about, and they have like a message. That's kind of my way of wanting to sort of help protect wildlife, because I feel like it's much more tangible. So from that, the films are aimed for the local communities here in Kenya. And it's literally, we're doing it to just inspire people in the exact same way that we've all inspired in the UK. It's like, I was inspired by Steve Bachel on TV when I was younger, or other sort of films like that. Whereas a lot of people don't realise that most of those films, they're never shown or never seen by the people that actually live around that wildlife. So that's kind of the side of Stand Up for Nature and what's on with those films. And in terms of like podcast, each kind of message with those different broadcast films is a bit different depending on what it's for. I think for those, everyone kind of goes in it with the same thoughts, that they just want to create the most beautiful imagery they possibly can to inspire people, going, "Oh my God, the natural world is amazing and beautiful, we must protect it." And I think that does have a huge effect, because so many people go through university to do zoology and things like that.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jamie. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat to us. And I hope that plenty more films are coming your way at the end of 2021 and 2022.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.